Okay, so I got the keeper bolts taken out here. I got the lines disconnected. The hose end I have capped to keep fluid from leaking and keep dirt and crap out of there. And then I sprayed some these pins on these Genies. It's like a poly bushing, but it's not greasable fitting, so it doesn't have any grease zerks on it. So I sprayed a little bit of lube on these to maybe help it slide off there, and see if we can get this thing to come off. Kind of get a feel for there's a difference between it's stuck on the pin and there's a little bit of just a little bit of tension on it, and I believe that's what I'm dealing with. There's a little bit, even though we got this other cylinder on the other side that's on there, so it shouldn't, nothing should spring or go crazy, but does seem like there's a little bit of, just a little bit of tension on it. Really don't want to hit on the barrel too much there. Another part I think is just going even. Like I said, this barrel is probably pretty thin walled, so you definitely wouldn't want to go ramming on it with a sledgehammer to dent the definitely dent the barrel or something stupid. I wouldn't do more than just a little light tap. Almost there. So I'm gonna get my gland wrench here and see if I can unscrew that. Being the fact that the last person that rebuilt this used a pipe wrench on it, there's a good chance that I'm probably gonna have to follow suit and use a pipe wrench as well, because it's probably over tightened, I'm guessing. So, but we'll see. So I'm gonna go get some tools out real quick. So yeah, unfortunately I had to use the pipe wrench to break it, because my gland wrench on this gland, there's just two tiny little pinholes, and all I'm gonna do is just break those the pins on my gland wrench when I can feel when it's too tight, and then you're just gonna end up, all you're gonna do is break the pins on your gland wrench. And so whoever did rebuild this put some anti-seize on the threads, which now it's spinning real nice, but the problem is the anti-seize did obviously help keep the gland from seizing up, but it didn't help that it was over tightened. So I'll just let that bleed out. Let it drain for a while. Get any kind of residual, little bit of residual pressure in there out. Get all the fluid drained out. And then once that's done, we'll pull the rod out and get to rebuilding this thing. Take a look inside of it. So once you get it to once you have it the fluid bled out of it, and this actually does look like bleeding it out because the fluid is red like blood. But once you get the fluid drained out of it, you're gonna pull on the end of this rod, and then it's gonna feel like there's a suction on it. So what you're gonna want to do is, even though you have your lines disconnected, you'll feel like there's suction on that. That's because there's no fluid in there to move this valve, this hold counterbalance valve. So what you're going to want to do is pop that guy out and make sure you replace at least the O-ring on that once you have it broke loose. But then once you do that, should come out of there. And one thing that's really I find to be super important is anytime I do a repair on anything, whether it's a cylinder or regardless what component it is I always do a failure analysis on it. And what I mean is, why did it fail? I want to have that information every time I do a repair, because it's great for learning. Once you know why things fail and how they failed, to learn in the future how to prevent that part from failing again. And so I try to get into the habit of, every time I do a repair on a machine, I want to examine and find out why it failed. And whether you guys are doing it professionally or you're just doing it on your machine for personal or business or whatever, it's always good to get into I believe it's a good practice to get into, is to find out why things failed, to prevent future failures, to learn more about the component, instead of just pulling things apart and slamming them back together. Really kind of try to figure out why it failed. Was it an assembly issue on this one? Obviously this one was ready rebuilt. I can see on the end of the piston here, the nut here, is all kind of stripped out. So I can tell you, whoever did this didn't even have the right size wrench on it. They may even, no, they didn't use a pipe wrench, but they stripped out the nut here. That's the first thing I can see right off of hand. But getting to know why parts failed and how to keep them from failing in the future is so important, I believe. It makes you a better mechanic, or like I said, even if you're doing it for yourself, it makes it where maybe you can avoid it happening again in the future, because it's never fun to have to redo things twice. So trying to figure out why it failed. So was it on this one, since we know it was taken apart, was it a assembly issue? Was it a fluid quality issue? That's definitely that definitely could be a factor, because if we look at the filter on this thing, I see a date of 2014 on it. This one I just talked the customer in. I talked the customer into replacing this return filter here, because back in May, because it was dated for 2011. This one's dated for 2014, and we're in the year 2022. So you can see that it'd been on the one filter, it'd been over 10 years since it'd been serviced. So that definitely could be a factor. That seal, the rod itself, if you have any big scratches or dings on it, of course it can, as this rod pushes through those seals back and forth, and if there's any scratches or dings on it, it's going to leave fluid. I don't see, right offhand, I don't see any big dings or scratches on it, but the chrome is really kind of worn off and in poor shape. So that can cause some issue with abrasive issues with the seals. But we're gonna know a whole lot more. I'm gonna flip this, take the barrel off of my bench here, and I'm gonna put the rod on, and we'll see if we can get this nut off. It's already stripped out, so hopefully that'll come off nice. And then we'll pull the gland off and take a look at that, and then we'll know a lot more. But just a bunch of, basically a bunch of talking, just to get to the point of, anytime you take a component off, I didn't intend to make these videos as instructional videos, so that's not what I'm trying to do, but I'm just bringing up some information that I've found helpful for me personally. Is anytime I take a component apart, long story short, see if we can find out why it failed. And sometimes it's not real obvious, to be honest with you. It doesn't always just jump out at you, but we'll see if we can find anything and get this thing repacked and put back on there. So I'm gonna flip things around and get some wrenches out, and we'll keep on going. I mean, this rod's in pretty bad shape too. I mean, there's definitely some, look at the pitting. You can see the lines and the pitting on the cylinder. So you're definitely gonna get some bypassing here. So we're gonna try to fix that. It's not, there's no big dings or scratches. So I'm not gonna try to fill it with JB Weld or try to fill it with epoxy or anything. I'm gonna just try to lightly smooth that out. And of course, the problem with doing that is there's really no chrome left on this rod. So whatever little thin bit of chrome's left on that, if you're gonna just keep sanding on it, you're just gonna get rid of whatever little chrome's left on it, which is not ideal. But we have to do something about this, so we're gonna have to try to make it a little better. All right, well, I got the gland resealed, brand new seals inside of it. I'm not gonna drag you guys through doing that again. I already have videos of resealing cylinders. I got a new seal on the piston, got all the new seals out, got new seals on the end, the new backup and O-rings on there. I did end up using some epoxy and kind of filling in some of that pitting on the rod. It's probably not going to make much of a difference. I think this thing's always going to have a little bit of smear as the wiper goes up and back down because of the condition that the rod's in. There's only so much I can do besides replace the whole rod or the whole cylinder. And the customer, I think he's gonna talked about it with them, and they're just gonna deal with a little bit of bypass on where that pitting is. It's gonna happen when it's all the way, the worst pitting's up top, so that's where it's gonna happen. When it comes up, there's gonna be a little, but at least we're not gonna get that, it's not just gonna be pouring out, and that's kind of what I'm going for. And so, like I said, I didn't go through the whole, I got this resealed and lubed up. I didn't go through the whole thing. I know these, like I said, I've already done hydraulic videos, and I'm gonna be having some other videos for you guys, I promise. Besides hydraulic videos, it's always kind of been my bread and butter kind of stuff work, but it's for some reason the last month and a half I've been doing even more than usual. It's just the last month and a half has been just a lot of cylinder work, so I'm not complaining, but it does make for some, probably does make for some pretty boring videos. But I kind of wanted to make a video of it anyways, since I've kind of videoed this whole machine process here. But I will be having a lot of other videos coming up here shortly of more entertaining kind of work for you guys and for me. You guys will see here soon, but I got a lot of other projects coming up, diagnosing engine stuff, engine work and all kinds of other valve work and hydraulic stuff. So okay, so got the new seals put in, got a new I cleaned the inside of it with WD-40 and used emery cloth on the inside of the gland and just got it nice, got all the rust out of there and got it nice and shiny and put the new seals in. So, and then just, of course, as always, I just use a little assembly lube so everything slides on back. Use assembly lube or hydraulic oil or whatever. Then I also cleaned out the inside of the barrel and used emery cloth where the Scotch-Brite, where the O-ring on the gland seats in there. So I'll take my caps off, or take my comp valves out, my hold valve. So that way when I'm pushing it in, I'm not fighting against that pressure. You can hear that sound where it's definitely got, those seals are definitely doing something. You can hear that it's all the pressure blowing out the ports there. Can't hold on for anything. I put some new O-rings and backup rings on this valve. It's always good to have an or a backup ring kit too, because as you see on this backup ring here, when I pulled that valve out, it was actually smeared. So I wonder if that happened on the last time this thing was redone. But this one's in bad shape too, but this one was totally smeared over. that's all. So that's one resealed cylinder down. Also have to do you can see this one just puking out. I'm also doing that one. I don't know if I'll make a video of that. I mean, how many hydraulic cylinders videos can a guy stand? But I mean, unless it's something different on a different machine and a different style of cylinder and something maybe more interesting, but I doubt I'll make a video on that one. But yeah, resealed.